Welcome back, y'all. What's happening out there in WBB land? We are back with another video, and this is a 13-part series that will chronicle every team's 2025 offseason. Each video will detail every team's current roster, their salary cap and assets, as well as look at free agent targets, needs, and an overall trajectory for the upcoming 2025 WNBA season. Without further ado, let's get it popping.
Yeah, Christine, Alyssa Thomas, she is on the move to the Phoenix Mercury out of the Connecticut Sun, where she spent her entire career. That is according to our Alexa Philippou.
The Phoenix Mercury have been the most active and most surprising team in all of the WNBA during this free agent period. It started, of course, with the monster acquisition of perennial MVP candidate Alyssa Thomas coming over in a massive trade from the Connecticut Sun. Not even a week later, the Mercury landed another unicorn in 2023 first-team All-W performer Satou Sabally.
CBS Sports HQ, the Phoenix Mercury are acquiring Satou Sabally from the Dallas Wings in a 3-team trade, according to ESPN. Sabally is a free agent and was expected to meet with the Liberty and Mercury, but because the Wings court her, she could only be acquired via trade. Sabally is a 2-time All-Star and was the WNBA's most improved player in 2023.
Now, speculation was running wild with what team the 26-year-old German would eventually land on, and frankly, Phoenix never seemed to be a player in that conversation. Of course, until the trade was announced, which was an absolute bombshell, giving Phoenix a legitimate, if not the biggest big three in all of WNBA. Along with Sabally, Phoenix also secured another starting piece in the Dallas deal, and that, of course, was 6'7" center Kalani Brown, who will surely take over the void left in the middle as Brittany Griner leaves the desert for Atlanta. Throw in the additions of Sammy Wickham from Seattle and Kitia Laksa from Fenerbahce, and you have, apart from Kalia Copper, an entirely new squad from the one we watched in 2024. Phoenix's current cap sheet looks as such, with salaries totaling $1.2 million, leaving them just under $300K to spend for a minimum of 2 roster spots. Remember, WNBA teams all need to carry 11 players. The million-dollar question remains, can the Phoenix front office put enough around their new big three to bring a title back to the Valley? In this video, I will go through what I think is the most realistic and best-case scenario for the Mercury in closing out free agency. First, we need to look at needs. Given the limited resources and assets Phoenix has at their disposal, another trade is essentially out of the question. This means they need to allocate their remaining $300K in available cap space on 2 main points of concern: additional post presence and additional ball handling and guard scoring. As it stands today, Phoenix's only true post presences are Kalani Brown and Natasha Mack. Obviously, Satou Sabally can play on the block and down low. She's a heck of a rebounder, but they need more depth at that position. As far as ball handling and scoring, when Alyssa Thomas is off the court, they need other ways of production and other ways of offense facilitation. As wild a start as free agency had, it has since slowed considerably, mostly because the major free agent targets have already been acquired. The list begins with who I consider to be the number 1 post player still remaining in free agency, and that is Isabel Harrison. I think Harrison can probably leverage a big contract now based on the limited players still available, as well as teams like Golden State and Connecticut needing to hit salary cap minimums. That said, I think she would be a natural fit in most rosters, and Phoenix is certainly one of them. If she wants to be part of a real contender and a real contributor, I think a move to the desert makes a lot of sense. The next 2 post players I would be interested in if I were Phoenix aren't on many radars, but both could be just what the Mercury need in terms of production and salary restrictions. These 2 players are Dulcie Fankam Mengiadu and Tiana Jackson. Wnba Mengiado had spurts of real potential in her rookie season with Seattle, even notching a 15-rebound performance in 2023. She was eventually let go in 2024 to make way for all of the Storm's new acquisitions. With all of the expansion hitting the league, I guarantee you she will be making an appearance back in the league in short order, and in my opinion, it might as well be in 2025 in the desert. As for Tiana, Jackson was the 19th overall selection in the 2024 draft. The former Kansas Jayhawk was drafted to Connecticut, and with the way their roster was constructed, it might have been one of the worst teams she could have gone to. The former All-Big 12 performer is the prototypical body type of the new WNBA. A 6'6" rim protector with great hands and finishing, along with the ability to get up and down the court in transition. Like Wnba Mengiado, I believe Jackson will be fielding many calls in an expanded WNBA. The first free agent guard I think Phoenix should give a call to is a bit of a confounding case. I have no idea how she is not on a roster at this point. Of course, I'm talking about Kennedy Carter. Now, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes and why this player can't seem to find a solid home, but what I do know is she can score with the best of them. And if I'm Phoenix and I'm trying to win a championship, I'm 100% making a sales pitch to Kennedy Carter. Aari McDonald is the next guard on my list. It's unclear if Los Angeles and her plan to negotiate. The Sparks recently just unloaded Lexi Brown to Seattle, so that might make room for McDonald to stay in LA. But if not, and I'm Phoenix, I absolutely want a player that can average 10 to 15 minutes a night and can give me 8 to 15 points on any given night. The last guard I'd like to see them bring in on a training camp contract is De'Asia Fair, the former Las Vegas Aces draft pick from one season ago. Now, the benefit of doing this, as you'll see in the next graphic, is Fair, Wnba Mengiado, and Jackson are all going to be $66,000 contracts, which allow you to give either Isabel Harrison or Kennedy Carter a decent-sized one-year contract. I ultimately decided on Isabel Harrison being that optimal free agent for this Phoenix Mercury team based on need, production, and likely scheme. I went ahead and signed her to a one-year, $164,000 contract, which is clearly a very specific number. That allows me to sign not only one, but two players of 2 years of service or fewer to that league minimum $66,000 contract. With that, I brought in Wnba Mengiado and Fair to make a 12-player roster. This essentially empties the bank on salary, but in my opinion, gives Phoenix the weapons and the bench it will need to be a real contender in 2025. But I pass the question to you. Let me know in the comments. Who would you sign to add to this new big three? And I'm also curious if you think the Mercury are bona fide title contenders next season. As always, like, share, and hey, hit that subscribe button. It's free.